Dear beloved Thai, dear beloved community, I know you're there and I'm very happy. Thank you for being here with us on a Christmas Eve. This is very special. Let us enjoy three sounds of the bell and we come back to our body. Hello, my dear body. I know you're always there for me and I'm very grateful. Hello, dear friends, family, community. I know you're there for me, supporting me, embracing me. I'm never alone. And with this simple recognition, our hearts are filled with gratitude and thus happiness. Dear beloved community, Merry Christmas. I know we come from all different backgrounds and different religious traditions, and it's so wonderful that we can be here together and celebrate Christmas as a spiritual family. I've been I came down with a flu, so I was in my room for about a week. It's very strange to not go to the Sangha schedule for a week. I've always done my best to go to Sangha activities. To me, that's the most important contribution to the community. Being there, practicing, and I actually asked 3 brothers and sisters to help me give this talk because I wasn't sure if I could be well enough to offer the talk. But it was a short notice, so anyway, here I am. My voice is still a little raspy, so hopefully it's clear enough for you to hear. Christmas, as I was reading up a little bit more, I didn't grow up in the Christian tradition, my grandmother was a Buddhist, but when I was in my first grade, I actually went to a Catholic school. My mother must have known somebody at the school, so I went to this private Catholic school for a year, and we would go to the church, which was a part of the school, a very beautiful church, and we would take the Eucharist every week, and so. But besides that, I really didn't learn much about Christianity or Buddhism, as a matter of fact. Only when I became a nun that I learned more about the teachings. And so Christmas, many of us might have known already, the word Christmas is a combination of Christian and Mass. So it's a Mass of the Christian, the celebration of the Christian, and abbreviated as Christ, and Mass, Christmas. So the first Mass that was initiated was by Christ at the Last Supper. And when he sent forth the congregation out to the world to live the gospel, and that was the first Mass. Mass is a word from dismissal, means sending forth. So that was the first Mass. And of course we have Christmas. We celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. And in the spirit of the gospel, it is for us actually to live the teachings of Jesus. And that is the teaching of love, of peace, of goodwill, right? And so as I was learning more about this, it's totally Buddhist. And I think all great spiritual leaders always expound on these teachings, right? The teachings on love. Let us come back to our breathing. Breathe and smile. And relax our whole body. Do turn off your phones if you can. Okay? So all the great religious leaders always taught us the teachings on love, on peace, and goodwill towards ourselves and others. So there is a teaching from the Buddha. It's exactly that. You might have heard of this. It's the discourse on love. Okay, and this is in the book Plum Village Chanting and Recitation book. We have many wonderful teachings of the Buddha here, and we have a new edition. So this is an older one. Discourse on love. And so when we talk about carrying out the gospel, carrying out the spirit, realizing the spirit of love, of peace, of goodwill, we often have the notion that it is us doing it for others, right? We are separate from others and we are doing it for other people. But the Buddha taught it again and again that really peace begins with oneself. In one discourse titled The Four Kinds of People, Four Kinds of Person, the first kind of people is the kind that do not care about the well-being of themselves or others. The first kind, okay? They care neither about their own well-being nor the well-being of others. The second kind of people are those who care about the well-being of others, but not their own. And the third kind of people are those who care about the well-being of their own, but not others. And interestingly enough, the Buddha said the third kind of people is more superior. It's better. You don't think it sounds very Buddhist, do you? But the Buddha asserted that. Yeah? When you care about your own well-being, that's better. And the fourth kind of people, of course, is that you care about the well-being of yourself, but also of others. Okay? So inconsistent with that teaching on the four kinds of people, the Discourse on Love, also known as the Metta Sutta, in the Sutta Nipata, there's a great collection of the Buddha's teachings, canons, like books like this, that I hope you also read more. So it's a very short discourse, and it starts like this. He or she who wants to attain peace should practice being upright, humble, and capable of using loving speech. So the Buddha started the teaching with he or she. If you want to attain peace, that starts with oneself. So love begins with oneself. And how do we realize that love and peace and goodwill? We should practice being upright, humble, and capable of using loving speech. He or she will know how to live simply and happily, with senses calmed, without being covetous and carried away by the emotions of the majority. Let him or her not do anything that will be disapproved of by the wise ones. It begins with oneself. So, peace and love and goodwill, they are not for us to pray for. Buddhism is not a religion in the sense that we don't sit there and pray for good things to happen to us or to others. It is a practice. It is a way of life. It's a choice that we make every day. So it's not verbal. It's an action of thoughts, of speech, and of body. And it's the guideline is very, very clear in that way. So I thought I would share these practices from a new angle. As I was not feeling well for a while, one of the things I did was that I dabble on Harry Potter's book series. How many of you have read Harry Potter or watched Harry Potter? Okay, so about half of us. Okay, so I got Harry Potter. This is the last one. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Okay. So from the Metta Sutta, we we have the practice we call the metta contemplation, metta. Okay, meditation. And it begins with, may I be safe and happy, because the Buddha started with oneself. May I be safe and happy. So it begins with ourselves, and it begins as an intention, a wish, an aspiration. May I be safe and happy. And we ask ourselves, usually we think the safety is in the external environment, right? Am I safe? From my practice, I realized that actually, fortunately, most of the time my external environment is very, very safe. For example, the monastery is safe. When I go grocery, do I go to, I don't usually go grocery shopping or shopping at all. When I go to the airport, when I go to places for a teaching tour, people are kind. I'm in a safe environment. But I find out that actually, if I am not skillful and mindful, I'm not safe to myself, even when the external environment is quite safe. So as we pray or wish that we can be safe and happy, we also need to ask, am I safe to myself? Do I allow myself to be happy? Now, in Harry Potter, it's a story about a young boy who survived from the dark art. So this dark lord called himself Lord Voldemort. Voldemort, mort means death, Voldemort. And he rose to power, and he tried to kill all of the good witches and wizards. And when he came to kill this couple who were quite talented, and he tried to kill the boy as well, because there was a prophecy that this boy will be his antagonist, will destroy him. So he tried to find this little baby and try to kill. But the mother sacrificed her life. She begged him to spare this boy. And she actually threw herself out to protect this boy. And this boy actually survived, and he was known as the boy who lived. And later we found out that he lived because of the love his mother gave him, the love that protected him, that he was able to survive. So in this story, how the boy grew up and confronted Voldemort. So in this world, it took place in the 1990s, amazingly enough. So the mundane and the magical coexisted. Those who did not have, ordinary people like us are known as muggles. Do you remember that, the muggles? Yeah? And they are non-magical people versus the magical people. And as I read that, I thought, actually we are all born with magic. You notice children, they are so in awe with everything. Their eyes, their ears, their heart, their mind are so open, right? And they see magic in everything. As I was reading Harry Potter, I was walking back to the nunnery before I got sick, and I saw this boy, this little child, like walking next to an adult, but his feet were waddling really fast like this. And I thought, this is coming out of Harry Potter. How does he fly and walk so fast like that? So it turned out this little tiny boy, less than 2 years old, but he actually had a little three-wheeler. And he was on it, and therefore he was going very fast. So reading Harry Potter, I saw the world in a different way. Everything was actually magical. As I was walking up here, I saw, the lemon trees and all the lemons and the oranges. It was amazing to see them just hanging like that and just beautiful in the sunlight. So in our practice, that is a way that we can care for our mind, that we can have this awe that we have lost because we grow up. And even our children nowadays, they are introduced to electronics so early, right? And they are so focused on this virtual reality that actually I think children lose their magic, the magical power a lot sooner now than before. Before, when we didn't have any of those things, that we could be out there. And so for us to be happy is to be able to be in touch with the magic. It's just the magic that is always there in our life. The sunlight, a flower blooming in the winter, the fruits that are coming out, the passion fruits we have in the Sisters' Hamlet, they are magical. So that is something mindfulness enables us to touch the magic in everything, in ourselves and all around us. And with that mind of just being wide open, of being attentive and aware, we learn more about the working of our mind and what's helping us to be safe and happy, and what kind of thinking, of views that we have that make us prone to danger to ourselves and danger to others, you see? So in Harry Potter, they talk about incantation as like a magical word or a sentence, right? And you cast a spell and something will happen. So, may I be safe to myself. May I allow myself to be happy. Right there, that is an incantation. Yeah? Breathing in, I'm aware that I'm still alive, that my body is still healthy. Yeah, my body can recuperate, can recover. How great, how wonderful that is. I am grateful and happy. You see? So those are, we call in the Buddhist tradition as mantras. Incantation, mantras, in English, in your own language. But we can do that in our daily life to come back to that magical mind that we have, that we are endowed with. And when we cast a spell, it needs a wand's movement, a very light flick, or a sweeping one, or a very strong one, and it needs concentration, intention on top of the incantation, right? So those 4 elements, that's our practice, my dear. The incantation, the mantra that we can say, may I be safe to myself. May I choose to be happy and not that I choose by default despair. I choose hopelessness. I choose to water negativity in my daily consumption through my eyes, my ears, my nose, my mouth, my body, touch, thoughts, and feelings. You see? So we have intention and a concentration that we are aware of. And then that one movement, that could be your mindful breathing. So that it can be your mindful breathing, mindful walking, like we just did earlier. Yeah, we walk and we are aware. And so when we are truly present with a clear intention, with a focus, especially when that a wholesome intention, then magic happens just like that. So we can practice to realize that safety, that happiness, that peace in oneself. Because I find that when we are safe to ourselves, when we feel safe in ourselves, we feel safe in the environment. You see, when we are full of anxiety, of sadness, of anger, of despair, of discrimination, then wherever we look through that lens of fear, anxiety, anger, discrimination. And thus, we interpret the environment as unsafe. The body will react to it. The body automatically has the stress response. We fight, we flight, or we freeze. And so if we can come back and have that loving intention towards ourselves, if we know how to breathe, to walk mindfully, to calm our body and mind, relax our body and mind, then in that moment, there is safety deep within. And so our autonomic nervous system can calm down. That is a way, a very specific, concrete way to self-regulate so that there is safety, peace in us, and thus in the environment. Let us enjoy oneself the bell together and practice just that. Come back to the in-breath as it is, the out-breath as it is. Hello, my dear in-breath. We befriend our in-breath. Hello, my dear out-breath. Thank you. Thank you for this life. Thank you for all the conditions of happiness that are readily available to me right now, right here and right now. In Harry Potter, there's the mirror of, I don't know how to say it, erased. The mirror of erased. And it's actually a backward spell of the word desire. Okay. So this mirror, this magical mirror, when one is standing in front of it, then you see, well, when Harry Potter first discovered this mirror, he looked into it, and what did he see? He saw his parents. They were standing there smiling and waving at him. And he was so mesmerized by that, so moved by that. He kept going back again and again to that mirror, even though it was quite dangerous for him. He was not supposed to be in that room. But he went back and he just sat in front of that mirror looking at his mother and father. But then the headmaster came to him and talked to him and explained to him, actually, this mirror It doesn't reflect reality. Your parents have passed away, but it reflects your deepest desire. His deepest desire, this child who grew up without a mother and a father, is to have his parents with him, to be with them. And that is why when he looks into the mirror, he sees them. Whereas his next friend, Ron, when he looked into the mirror, what did he see? He saw that he was a captain of the Quidditch team, you see? So that was his deepest, most important desire. And so the mirror of desire, a lot of time we are not happy because we are caught in our desire. I wish that had happened in my life. I wish this would happen in my life. And because we are caught in our dreams and desire, in Spanish we say, que lástima, what could have been, right? What could have been, what could be. We forget to live our own lives. And that's why we're not happy. So we can have dreams and aspirations. We can remember beautiful memories. But if we learn that the only way to truly live them, to realize them, is right here and right now, in the present moment, and not through wishful thinking. So our practice is to live in the here and the now, to use our magical mind to see that everything we wish for is right here and right now. You see, I lost my mother when I was 12 years old. She went to the market and she never came back. She just disappeared like that. And it's been more than 30 years now. Actually, 40 years now. And I am older than my mother now. And there were times when I asked what would happen if my mother didn't pass away. A number of years after we came here, my brother and I went back to Vietnam together. It was his first trip, my second visit. And on the airplane, my mother disappeared when my brother was only 8 years old. So when we went back, he was already like in his early 20s. And he said to me, "Sister, what if our mother is still alive? What if she hears that we come back and she comes to the house to visit us?" It was very moving for me because my brother never really talked about my mother. Every time I went home to see my brother, I would take out the albums and would go over the photos of his childhood to remind him how much our mother loved him and really, really cared for him. Always wanted those memories to be alive in him. But if we are only living in the past, que lástima, then we're not taking care of the present moment. I see my mother in me. You've never met my mother, but as you look at me, I look a lot like her. A lot like her. So my mother is me. I am my mother in that way. So for us to live deeply the present moment, we don't have to wish for something to have happened or something to happen in the future. We are wielding it. We are making it happen right in the present moment. You see? Now, so for the metta meditation, first is to direct towards oneself. And the next part, the Buddha taught this. And he or she And this is what he or she contemplates, or this is what they contemplate. May everyone be happy and safe, and may their hearts be filled with joy. May all beings live in security and in peace. Beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. We send our well wishes to others, to all beings who are short or tall, big or small, visible or not visible. It's poignant to have this aspiration in the midst of all the conflicts and wars going on in the world right now in so many countries, especially in Ukraine, in Israel, in Gaza, in Russia, in many countries in the world. Children are dying. Mothers are being killed. Fathers are killed. For one person. I read this somewhere, it's very moving. You may be just one person to the world, but you are the world to one person. Yeah. Sometimes we feel so small, so insignificant. We may even wonder, what is the meaning of our life? Why are we even here? But really, for each person who dies, especially from murder, from disappearance, from a very painful cause, it affects so many lives. My life, my brother's life, just changed the trajectory because my mother disappeared when he was 8 and when I was 12 years old. Our life was never the same. And so in that way, we learned that to be safe to ourselves, not only that we feel safer in our surrounding, in the world, but we can be safer to others. It is not that other people are not safe to us, as we often think. When we have unkind thoughts, speech and bodily actions towards ourselves, most likely we will carry those unkind thoughts, speech and bodily actions towards others, right? We harm ourselves and we harm others. And so this is not a prayer, a wishful thought, but this is something we need to practice, to see that we enter our, this is a model I have of a very deep teaching. You see, there's an actual bean called the yin-yang bean. And on the half black, it has a white dot. And on the white side, it has a black dot. Please excuse me. In the white, there's the black. In the black, there is the white. This is in that, and that is in this. Yeah. My peace is in my mother's peace. As I practice, my mother in me becomes more peaceful, more healed. You see? This is in that. And this is because that is. If I have peace, you have peace. If I live in despair, you will suffer from despair. Your children suffer from your despair. Those you love, those who are near you, and also those who are far from you, they still suffer from that reverberation, from those effects. Now, in Harry Potter, there's a character, these ghosts we call boggarts. Yeah? They are shape-shifting like ghosts, but they don't have their own forms. But they take on the forms of the person or that they encounter. So, for example, if you fear spider and you see a boggart, then that ghost will appear as a gigantic spider, tarantula, and you would just freak out, right? And so it will take shape of your own fear. So in our meditation, we can ask ourselves, what is my deepest fear? What is preventing me from being safe to myself and others? What's preventing me from being peaceful and happy for my own sake and for others' sake? You see? So we can look into that. And I look into my boggart. What's my deepest fear? And I saw that since I was a teenager, until now, when I close my eyes and ask me what is my deepest fear, it's actually the fear of losing my brother. I have just one brother. And I took care of him even when my mother was still alive. And then when she disappeared, I continued to take care of him. He's now 50 years old. But when I think of him, my tears will just stream down. And that has always been my deepest fear. And so I practice with it. Because when we have fear, it prevents us from living. You see? It prevents us from living. But when we are able to confront our fear, to embrace it, to understand it, then we can live our life as deeply as possible. So in Harry Potter, a boggart, the way to confront it is to use the one movement and say, ridiculous. Ridiculous. And it's most effective if you laugh right after that. Ridiculous. And then, ha 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 ha. And it will just disappear right away. Right? Well, I couldn't do that with my fear with my brother because it's a mortal fear, it's real. But at least I can sit and breathe with it. And I remember, wow, even when I was in my early 20s in college, I would write poems about my brother, about a motorcycle accident, about receiving the bad news, and how that would just broke my heart. And I remember how fortunate that is that I still have my brother, that he's now 50 years old. And now he even has a daughter who looks so much like him. And that gives me a lot of gratitude and happiness. And also remembering impermanence. When I have a disagreement with my brother, for example, over Trump, he's very pro-Trump, and we argue, or about the way he takes care of his diabetes. He doesn't take very good care of it. When we argue, I remember it really doesn't matter if he's pro-Trump because Trump comes and Trump goes. My brother, I love him my whole entire life. And so, remembering that, I drop it. And I don't talk about that anymore. Even sometimes he'll try to trigger me, provoke me. I'll just laugh. Or when I remind him to, take his insulin, and he doesn't, and then he gets upset, I will call him or text him and say, I love you, my dear. All I want is for you to be safe and happy and to be there for your child. And that is how we can learn to embrace our fear. When we love somebody, naturally the fear will arise. What if I lose that person? But if we are not careful, the person is still there, and we're not even aware of the presence of the person. We're not even appreciating the person. You see? So, with that awareness, we learn to heal, to transform our fear, and to take good care of our relationships in our daily life. And this will also apply for the fear towards others as well. We may have fear towards somebody with a different skin color, with a different sexual orientation, with a different background, a different political, religious belief. We have fears, many, many kinds of fears, and we act. Our actions are based on those fears, and thus they prevent us from truly connecting with ourselves and with others because we put up so many walls. So for us to be able to laugh, to breathe into those fears and to relax them and to see the ridiculousness of our thoughts and our views, and always do our best to choose love, to choose peace over views and ideas. It's not easy to do, but that's what saves us. Okay. Let us enjoy a sound of the bell. Breathe into whatever fear that may arise. Smile. Relax our whole body. What time is it now, Sam? Huh? 5 o'clock. Until 5:15. Okay. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one, out of anger or ill will, wish anyone any harm. Just as a mother loves and protects her only child at the risk of her own life, we should cultivate boundless love to offer to all living beings in the entire cosmos. Our heart will be absolutely free from hatred and enmity, whether standing or walking, sitting or lying. As long as we are awake, we should maintain this mindfulness of love in our own heart. This is the noblest way of living. That's the image of a mother who loves and protects her only child, just like in Harry Potter, Lily. She begged for her son's life, and when she knew that he wasn't going to spare her son's life, she threw herself out there to protect. Now, we may think that we try to do that for others. We love others as our own children. But actually, the mind of love itself is our only child that we should love and protect. When we choose hatred, enmity, discrimination, when we cause harm to others, thus to ourselves, in our thought, speech, and bodily actions, we are the ones who are harmed first and foremost. Towards the end, Dumbledore, the headmaster, very wise, and he said to Harry Potter, "Do not pity the dead, Harry. Pity the living, and above all, those who live without love." Pity the living, and above all, those who live without love. When we live and we don't believe in love, and a lot of people, a lot of young people nowadays, they suffer that. When we're young, we think love means sexual relationships. And so we plunge into that. And again, we only find disappointment and despair. And we lose faith in love. They're just games. There's no true love. And that's when we become very self-destructive, bitter and destructive towards others as well. So as a mother risks her own life to protect her only child, it is us who need to protect this mind of love for our own sake, for peace, love, and safety to be possible for us, for ourselves, and thus for others. So that means that moment to moment in our daily life, we have to choose again and again. Love, peace, and harmony above views and ideas. You see, like I was sharing about my brother, how I have to practice again and again to remember what we have gone through together all these years. And if I were to lose him, If I were to hold on to my own views and ideas, I would be utterly alone. He means so much to me. And that's what we learn to do with other family members, with our brothers and sisters in the community as well. Again and again, we come back and choose love. See? And that is something that we all can practice. This inner child that we have, we need to protect it, because Harry survived because of the love his mother gave, that sacrifice she made. And when we practice to be our own soulmate, a soulmate in Vietnamese means this is the word for soulmate in Vietnamese, tri kỷ, T-R-I, T and K-Y, with a question mark on top. Tri means to remember, to know, to take care of, to master. Kỷ means oneself. A soulmate is not somebody out there who loves and accepts and takes care of us. A soulmate is us who remember ourselves, our body, our thoughts, feelings, our fears, our desires, aspirations, intentions. A soulmate is us who get to know them, to take care of them, and to master them. That is a soulmate. And when we can be a soulmate to ourselves, to our inner child, for all the things that we have gone through, that is the deepest, safest haven for us. That's the place of peace and love, and it will animate, will benefit so many others. In our tradition, we talk about the inner child. The inner child. Many of us have gone through a lot of suffering, trauma, misfortune in our lives since we were children. And many of us, we avoid confronting this inner child in us. We want to block out the cries from our own inner child. Sometimes we refer to our own inner child or the inner child of another person in a derogative way, negative way. Oh, you are like that because of your inner child was like that. But in the practice, I've learned to sit with my inner child. And I realized in one sitting, not long ago, just a few weeks ago, and I look at my whole life since I was a child. Then in high school, college, medical school, monastic life. Throughout all of that time, so many difficulties, challenges, misfortune took place. Actually, somebody was always with me. I was never alone. My grandma was there for me. She was stable and present. My life was saved. My grandmother was the one who gave me that love and stability. And I've been that one for my own brother. And throughout my life, my brother has been there. He's had his own difficulties, but we never walked away from each other. And I've had friends, and have had so many beautiful, loving memories with different people So it was never an entirely misfortune. Make sure you see your life in that way. In a broad spectrum. You see everything and not just one side or the other. In Harry Potter, there are these dementors. Remember them? Dementors. They are ghost-like. And they glide in the air. And whenever they appear, everything becomes so dark and cold. And they suck out all the happiness from you. And they leave you just with the most despairing memories, the worst memories and fears of your life. They suck out the soul of you. These dementors, are they magical figures? Do they exist? Yes, the dementors are in each one of us. As we have the Buddha in us, we also have the dementor in us. Have you been in the deepest, darkest hole where you just think only about the worst things possible that happen in your life, that can happen, that will happen, right? And you're just stuck in that. We are feeding that dementor right in us. So the way to counteract the dementors is to conjure what we call a patronus. Yeah? A patronus. Do a patronus charm. Patronus probably is from the word patron, a protector. Instead of letting the despair drag us down and away from our own life, conjure memories of love, those beautiful memories. Remember that we are never alone, that somebody has always been there for us, one person or another, who was there to believe us, to give us some encouragement, to guide us. That's a patronus charm we conjure, and that light will appear, and that will dispel the darkness, the despair in us. This is something with mindfulness we can practice in our daily life, right? So that even though in the world there is so much pain and despair right now, we don't contribute first and foremost to more despair, to more discrimination, to more anger and hatred and division and discord. We need to conjure more patronus, more of that light, more of that love, of that peace animating from our own practice, our own life, to counterspell, right? That is why it's utmost important to hold dear to that mind of love, because metta, it means loving kindness, it means friendliness, it means goodwill. Metta, metta. Mitri, from the word mitri or maitri. Be a friend, first and foremost, to ourselves. May I be safe to myself. May I choose happiness. May I be a source of safety and peace and joy to others. May I see all beings as my own, myself. This is because that is. This is in that. That is in this. And may I do no harm to myself and those to others. May I protect my mind of love so that my life can be meaningful. My life can be a source of comfort and inspiration and healing for others. So thank you, my dear ones. I'm very happy and grateful that you are here, and I hope that you will continue to learn about our mindfulness practices and to apply them in your daily life so that you can realize these deep and noble aspirations concretely. Thank you. Thank you again. Let us enjoy 3 sounds of the bell together.